This book, The Parallel Universe, is the work of Leonard Cernik and Mary Cernik. This book is protected by copyright law. All rights to this book are reserved to the author and owner, Leonard Cernik. Thank you, and please enjoy this epic and stellar story. The Parallel Universe by Leonard Cernik and Mary Cernik. Introduction. This is a continuation of the story Cosmic Eliminator, the Quest Book 1. That story was the third rewrite of my first novel and contains all the key elements for a continuation. This story fills in a time of emergency for Sia Kinrick. Sia was leaving the center of the universe with his family to travel to the planet Tone. The story about planet Tone may be alluded to in a short story possibly written by A.D. Adams. In the quest, Sia had met Judge and had his family with him along with the entities Justice, Piety, and Haven. Sia had a communication chamber with direct link to Judge and his spacecraft. This new story starts in the communication chamber with direct link to Judge as narrated by Justice, Piety, and Haven. The Entity Justice's Viewpoint. Chapter 1. Enter and Parallel Universe Travel. After just leaving the center of the universe, Sia thought he should check in with Judge one last time. Justice and Piety were there. They are specks of super intense energy with amazing power and are real beings. In the communication room, none of Sia's other family was present. Judge told Sia that there was a crisis in the universe that Sia had to take care of. He was the only one that had the ability to handle it. Sia asked Judge where it is. Judge enlightened Sia that it was on his home planet Earth. Judge informed Sia that he needed to go first to the parallel universe on the planet called B-Earth. Sia telepathically asked how he was to get there. His MLM spacecraft were slow. Judge told him he could leave his family in an instant on the spaceship and travel instantaneously to B-Earth, and later return to the spaceship. He could then return in the same manner an instant later without his family ever knowing he was gone. Sia telepathically questioned how this was to be accomplished. That's where Justice and Piety telepathically commented. We can bring in a transport entity named Quark that can accomplish this. Instantly, Quark appeared. Quark telepathically informed Sia, I, Quark, could transport you instantaneously to the main control center on the parallel universe to Earth called B-Earth, which was occupying the same space and time. The leaders on B-Earth are expecting you. Quark told Sia to just tell his family he was unavailable in a meeting with Judge and was going to absorb more knowledge. Chapter 2. The Meeting. In an instant, Sia left the MLM spacecraft and appeared in this large control room on the planet B-Earth. Quark did his job well. Sia felt perfectly fine in his instantaneous travel from light years away in normal space terms. There he was greeted by an entourage of beings that looked similar to him. Sia had left the center of the universe in the Earth year 2055. He had arrived on the parallel planet B-Earth in the year 2021. People can choose different paths in life. The path Sia took in 2025 that started the quest was different to his past in 2021. Different events were transpiring in this 2021 past on the parallel planet B-Earth than occurred in the different dimension that Sia had experienced. In the control room, the beings first telepathically enlightened Sia with their history and a little about them. Their universe existed in the same space as Sia's planet Earth. Sia was now on the planet B-Earth side of the universe. The B-Earth universe had started at the same time as the Earth universe. B-Earth's Adam and Eve did not make the same mistakes as Earth's Adam and Eve. They were 1,000 times more advanced than the descendants of Earth's Adam and Eve. For example, during childbirth, the parents on B-Earth could feel their children dematerialize from the female mother's womb and rematerialize outside of the mother's womb without the mother experiencing any pain or trauma during delivery. The mother could also telepathically communicate with her baby in the womb, making sure that the fetus was all right. Their children could be delivered in their homes. The other main difference of the inhabitants of the Earth universe was that, besides being able to verbally talk, they could all communicate telepathically through their thoughts without speaking. They were also a lot more technologically advanced than Earth. Most recently, in 2021, they were able to travel between the B-Earth universe and the Earth universe, occupying the same space and time. One major change in the evolution between the two universes was at the time of Adam and Eve. Judge kept knowledge of the parallel universe from the evil entity Help that caused them to make a mistake. So Help was not aware of the B-Earth universe and could not negatively influence the inhabitants of B-Earth universe. The increase in what the universe Earth called UFO sightings was due to the fact that B-Earth had developed the ability to travel interdimensionally between the parallel universes. The reason for Sia going to the B-Earth universe control room was because the 2021 Earth's universe was being visited by beings from another planet. Sia, because he came from a dimension in Earth universe, had to make contact with these extraterrestrials. The planet B-Earth's inhabitants had to remain secret from Help and could not interfere with the current Earth's extraterrestrial visits. Chapter 3. The Extraterrestrials. The extraterrestrials came from Earth's universe in the planet Beale. They had secret colonies in Earth's oceans. They had one of 3 colonies just north of Siberia in the ocean. The Russians had suspected that there was something there and maybe an alien colony. They sent divers down in the ocean to see if they could communicate or capture an extraterrestrial from Beale. The Russian divers came into contact with 3 extraterrestrials on the ocean floor. The Russians could not communicate with the Bealites, so they tried to capture all 3 that they had encountered. This started a confrontation in which 3 Russian divers were killed and many other divers injured. The Russians experienced energy weapons the Bealites had, and the Russians were defenseless to protect themselves against. The Bealites then disappeared on the ocean floor in their protective suits that prevented the salt in the water from contacting their bodies, and were resistant to any of the Russians' weapons and physical contact. This confrontation started an intense Russian search to locate the Bealite colony, to no avail. The Bealites had special shielding and cloaking devices that the Russians couldn't penetrate, preventing them from observing the Bealites' location. And this confrontation was what prompted Judge's request for Sia to first go to the control room in the parallel universe. Sia learned all of this in the control room. However, B-Earth's inhabitants could not interfere because of them being hidden from Help. The Bealites knew of the evil Help entity, but were immune to Help's negative evil impact. Sia also learned that the Bealites had come from a distant planet in their craft, which was interdimensionally protected from spatial forces in Earth's universe. Chapter 4. Sia's Bealite Contact. Sia made the decision to contact the Bealites in their Siberian ocean colony. The transport entity Quark telepathically told Sia he could help him with that. Quark transported Sia to the operations center in the Bealite colony. The Bealites were startled to have Sia suddenly appear in their operations center. They immediately started using their energy weapons on him. Quark had put up a protective shield around Sia to protect him from all the Bealite weapons and physical contact. Sia could see they were silvery beings without mouths, but large heads and eyes. Sia finally got through to the Bealites in the operations center telepathically. Sia asked about the underwater fight. The Bealites were only protecting themselves from capture, and they had superior technology. After the Bealite initial shock of seeing Sia, They understood that Sia was no threat to them and immune to their defenses. So, they decided to communicate with him telepathically. Sia found out by reading their minds that they had come from a watery world. That made Earth's oceans very appealing to them. They also received nourishment through osmosis. They received oxygen by absorbing it through their silvery skin and protective layer. The Bielites communicated with him, implanting the thought, "Where did you come from?" Sia replied, "This planet in this universe, but a different time. I came to prevent any further confrontations with Earth's inhabitants in this dimensional time frame." The Bielites could remain hidden from this Earth's inhabitants except for their transport crafts, which sometimes became visible to Earth's inhabitants. Sia told them their crafts had been observed and had raised concerns with Earth's inhabitants. The Bielites communicated to Sia that they would remain peaceful as long as they weren't provoked into a confrontation. They were an advanced civilization, but no match for B-Earth's universe. Earth's 2021 inhabitants were no match with the Bielites who had the superior technology. The Bielites had no desire to give up any of their technology. Sia communicated to the Bielites that he was about to leave and won't come back unless necessary. He asked them to communicate this meeting with their race of beings. Sia left them as suddenly as he appeared. Back in B-Earth's control room, he communicated to them what he had found out about the Bielites. Sia informed them that he was going back to a spacecraft near the center of the universe to be with his family. Quark took him back to Judge's communication chamber on the MLM. The entity Haven informed Sia that he would mention the happenings to the all-knowing Judge. Haven said Judge was already aware of all that had happened. Justice and Piety concluded the meeting with Sia. He then went to meet his family on the fleet of MLMs. The Entity Piety's Viewpoint. Chapter 1. Inter- and Parallel Universe Travel. After just leaving the center of the universe, Sia thought he should reconvene with Judge one last time. The powerful Justice and Piety joined Judge in all of their splendor, cascading intense energy and light. None of Sia's family was present. Judge confided in him, telling him that there was a crisis in the universe, and he was the only one who had the ability to handle it. Sia asked Judge where the crisis manifested. "This crisis is happening on your home planet, Sia, Earth. But first you must go to the parallel universe, B-Earth," Judge said. "Earth is going to be visited by extraterrestrials. You are to communicate with them and make contact. B-Earth must remain a secret from the entity Help, as he is evil." They began communicating telepathically. Curiously, Sia wondered, "But Judge, how am I to travel to birth? I cannot abandon my family." Judge replied, "You will have the ability to leave your family in an instant and return home without them ever noticing your disappearance." Sia's eyes got wide. "How will I ever accomplish that?" "That's where we come in," Justice and Piety joined into their telepathic conversation. "We can bring a transport entity named Quark." Suddenly, Quark appeared before them. He could also telepathically communicate, and told Sia that he could transport him instantaneously to the main control center on B-Earth, which occupied the same space and time. Quark warned Sia not to tell his family what he was actually doing, as it could compromise the mission. He suggested telling them that Sia was meeting with Judge to absorb more knowledge through a nap. Chapter 2. The Meeting. Sia and Quark prepared to travel to the planet B-Earth. Instantly, Sia found himself in a large control room on the planet B-Earth. Quark had done his job well. Without any side effects from the instantaneous space travel, he looked around at his surroundings. It was a large room with a lot of holographic displays. Suddenly, he was greeted by an entourage of beings that looked similar to him. He had left the center of the universe in the Earth year 2055 and arrived on B-Earth in 2021. Understanding that he had the ability to choose his own path, Sia noticed a difference in his path in 2021 versus his path in 2025, the year that his quest started. This parallel universe was completely different than what he had known. In the control room, the beings first enlightened Sia telepathically. They shared with him their history and knowledge. The universe existed in the same space and started at the same time as Sia's Earth universe. The difference being, B-Earth's Adam and Eve did not make the same mistake as those on Earth. B-Earth's descendants retained all of their gifts from Judge, while Earth's descendants were condemned to a darker world. B-Earth was much more advanced, one example being their developments on the reproductive cycle. A mother could feel her child dematerialize inside of her womb and rematerialize on the outside, with no pain or trauma. B-Earth's occupants could also all communicate telepathically, something that is reserved for only a few on Earth. B-Earth had many technological advances over Earth as well. They had the ability to travel between B-Earth and Earth, which accounted for the rise in UFO sightings on Earth. Judge kept knowledge of B-Earth from the evil entity Help, so he could not negatively influence the B-Earth inhabitants. Chapter 3. The Extraterrestrials. These extraterrestrials came from Earth's universe on the planet Beale. They had secret colonies in the oceans of the Earth, one of which was just north of Siberia. The Russian government had discovered the colony. They sent divers on a mission to communicate or capture one of the extraterrestrials. Unable to communicate with the Bealites, the divers tried to capture 3 of them. The Bealites put up a fight, killing 3 Russian divers and injuring many others. The Bealites used high-energy weapons, which left the Russians defenseless. This confrontation put the Russians on high guard. They began to search intensely for the colony, to no avail. The extraterrestrials had cloaking devices and technology the Russian people had never seen before. The Bealites also had protection and immunity from Help. This confrontation was what prompted Judge to request that Sia go to the control room on B-Earth first. Chapter 4. Sia's Bealite Contact. Sia made the decision to contact the Bealites in their Siberian Ocean colony, and he knew that Quark could help. Quark and Sia instantaneously traveled to the operations center in the Bealites' colony. They were startled to see him suddenly appear. They immediately started a fierce attack. In the nick of time, Quark put up a force field protecting both of them. Without their suits, the Bealites were silvery beings without mouths. They had big, beady eyes and a large head. Their skin was almost reptilian-like, shiny and smooth. They stood short in stature and moved quickly. Sia began to attempt contact with the Bealites, and their energy weapons beams suddenly stopped. They realized Sia was not there to capture them, but to communicate. They had never met someone who looked like Sia who could communicate telepathically. He started to ask them about the underwater fight. The Bealites let their guard down, realizing Sia was no threat to them. They began engaging in communication with him. Sia discovered that the Bealites are from a watery planet. Earth's ocean was very appealing to them, as they received nourishment through osmosis. They also absorbed oxygen through their skin and did not have to breathe like humans. The Bealites asked him where he came from, and Sia responded that he came from here, but a different time. He came to prevent any future confrontations with Earth's 2021 inhabitants. Your crafts have been observed, and it has raised concern with Earth's people. The Bealites agreed to remain peaceful as long as they were not provoked. We have no desire in sharing our technology, but Earth is no match for our superiority. Sia realized his message was clear, and his point was made. He was able to take leave from the Bealites unscathed. As long as there is no need, you will not see me again. Please communicate this meeting with your race. And he left as suddenly as he appeared, arriving in Beard's control room. He shared what he had found out. The Beelites communicated that they would remain peaceful if not provoked. He then asked Quark to take him back to be with his family. Quark took him back to the communication chamber on the MLM. The entity Haven appeared, telling Sia that he would mention the happenings to Judge, who already knew. Then Sia met his family on the fleet of MLMs, not telling them anything. The end for now. Synopsis. I hope you enjoyed Sia's new quest for knowledge. There were 2 viewpoints. The entity Piety viewpoint was written by my daughter Mary Cernik. It was edited as well as the whole story by my friend A.D. Adams, or who I also call Tony Adams. He is an accomplished writer with many novels. I edited my daughter's version to achieve the intent of the short story. The cover art was an oil painting that my daughter Mary painted.